His and Hers episode 1 opens with a disturbing discovery deep in the woods. A woman has been brutally murdered and arranged across the hood of her own car, displayed like a twisted trophy. Detective Jack Harper is yanked away from what began as a peaceful morning at home with his sister Zoe and her daughter Meg and sent straight to the horrific scene. This wasn't a simple killing. The murderer left behind a deliberate insult, scratching the words "two-faced" onto the victim's fingernails. Jack instantly knows who the woman is and pushes to notify her husband himself, determined to get there before the press turns it into a spectacle. Elsewhere, we're introduced to Anna, who storms back to her apartment in a panic, gulps wine straight from the bottle, hastily clears out her space, and even squeezes in a dental visit. Anna is a well-known news anchor who vanished from the spotlight after the devastating death of her child. When she finally returns to work, she's blindsided by the fact that her position has been permanently filled by a younger, ambitious rival, Lexi Jones. Refusing to fade quietly into the background, Anna demands to cover a murder case in her hometown of Dahlonega. The very investigation Jack is already handling, Anna wastes no time arriving at the crime scene, where she immediately throws Jack off balance by bluntly asking whether he knew the victim. He dodges the question, but his suspicion grows, leading him to follow her movements. His tailing pays off when he catches Anna in a hotel room with Richard, Lexi's husband. It soon becomes clear that Anna deliberately chose Richard as her cameraman, not just for work, but despite Lexi in the most personal way possible. Jack continues tracking Anna until she reaches her mother's house, where the episode drops its biggest revelation. Jack and Anna were once married. Years ago, Anna vanished without explanation, and Jack's obsession with finding her ultimately cost him his job. That loss pushed him to relocate to Dahlonega, where he's been caring for Anna's mother, who is slowly losing her memory to dementia. Anna pressures Jack to drop his professional guard and tell her the truth about the case. When he finally does, it cuts deep for both of them. The victim is Rachel Hopkins, someone from their shared past. While Jack heads to the coroner's office, Anna remains behind, combing through old Sweet 16 footage that features Rachel alongside Zoe. During her search, she discovers a bracelet that clearly carries emotional weight. At the morgue, the medical examiner reveals the full extent of the brutality. Rachel was stabbed 40 times and bled out. Her fingernails were trimmed after death, and evidence suggests she had sexual contact close to the time she was killed. The most unsettling detail comes last. A friendship bracelet, identical to the one Anna found, was discovered wrapped around Rachel's tongue. When the examiner asked Jack and his partner Priya for DNA samples to rule out contamination, Jack flatly refuses, buying time but also drawing serious suspicion. Things spiral further when he learns Anna has ignored his warning to stay quiet. She goes live on air, publicly revealing Rachel's identity and cause of death, sending shockwaves through the case. The episode strongly nudges suspicion toward Anna, especially when we see her watching Jack and Rachel together in a car, wearing the exact outfit she had on earlier that morning. That moment casts new light on Jack's refusal to submit DNA, and while the truth isn't fully revealed yet, the show makes it clear. This secret isn't staying buried for long. Episode 2 opens with Jack driving recklessly through the rain, completely unraveling after and publicly revealed Rachel's identity on the news. While Jack spirals, Anna is alone in her hotel room, scrolling endlessly through old social media posts and archived videos. Her digital deep dive confirms what she already suspected. She, Rachel, Jack's sister, Zoe, and another woman named Helen Wang were once inseparable as teenagers. Jack storms into Anna's hotel room, furious and shaken, confronting her over the broadcast. He warns her, again, to stay out of his investigation and out of his way. The argument quickly turns personal, with Anna throwing their past back in his face, accusing him of moving on instead of waiting for her to return. Though she suggests they find a way to coexist, she can't resist asking if Jack suspects Rachel's husband, Clyde Duffy, only to realize Jack hasn't even interviewed him yet. Jack and Priya then travel to the Duffy estate to interview Clyde. Wealthy, guarded, and suffering from a serious heart condition, Clyde reveals that he and Rachel had an open marriage. Because of his health, Rachel was free to see other people, as long as she didn't do it in their home or in Dahlonega. Clyde goes on to describe Rachel as someone who enjoyed sleeping with people she didn't care about, often choosing cars and trucks for those encounters. When questioned about the night Rachel died, Clyde claims he was home. He even shows them security footage of Rachel leaving the house, while on the phone before he takes their dog for a walk. Priya explains they're attempting to trace Rachel's missing phone and hopes the battery will eventually die, but Clyde keeps calling it repeatedly, something the police explicitly told him not to do. Clyde then makes a disturbing implication, suggesting Rachel likely angered one of her sexual partners, which led to her being stabbed 40 times. Jack immediately presses him on how he knows that detail. Clyde casually reveals that Anna had already visited him earlier that morning and told him. Clyde also shares something else Anna uncovered. Rachel may have told Helen Wang, now the headmistress at St. Hilary School, who she was meeting in the woods that night. As the detectives prepare to leave, Jack asks Priya to photograph the security footage while he waits in the truck. Suddenly, a phone begins to ring. It's Rachel's phone, sitting inside Jack's truck. Panicked, Jack hides it and drives off, realizing just how badly things could implode. Back inside the house, Clyde is already on the phone with Helen. She tells him she's finished if their secret ever comes out. Clyde reassures her that once he drains Rachel's phone battery, the evidence will be gone and he'll wash his hands of both of them. Everyone, it seems, is protecting something. Jack orders Priya to dig into Clyde's phone records to see who he contacted after they left, suspecting an accomplice, while he races to St. Hilary to question Helen, only to find Anna has beaten him there once again. At the school, Anna flashes back to her first day as a student, when her mother, who worked as Rachel's family maid, introduced her to Rachel and the rest of the group, including Helen. What seemed like friendship quickly curdled into cruelty. In the present, Anna's meeting with Helen goes nowhere. The tension between them is unmistakable. Helen refuses to give answers, instead hinting at a 20-year-old secret and cruelly weaponizing Anna's past by making a comment about her dead child. Later, Anna visits the house she once shared with Jack while pregnant, a bittersweet memory that's shattered when Zoe spots her and flips her off. With pressure mounting from the coroner for a DNA sample, Jack returns home and plays a game of detective with his niece Meg. Under the guise of play, he swabs her DNA, intending to pass it off as his own. He knows he can't submit his real sample, because he slept with Rachel. At the morgue, Jack uses Rachel's face to unlock her phone. He hurriedly deletes their explicit messages but uncovers something far worse. Helen Wang knew about the affair and was actively blackmailing Rachel over it. Just as the truth threatens to surface, Helen calls Jack directly. At the same time, Priya is analyzing boot prints from the crime scene, prints that match perfectly with Jack's Timberland boots. Priya hasn't connected the dots yet, but the walls are closing in. The victim, Rachel Hopkins, was the textbook definition of a mean girl back in the day. We flash back to a high school cafeteria, where the clique, now including Anna, has its eyes on a quiet, isolated girl named Catherine. Anna proposes they invite Catherine to sit with them as a kind gesture, and while Rachel goes along with it, she's already plotting something vile. She deliberately knocks over Catherine's drink, then replaces it with another cup she has secretly filled with urine. Anna is immediately disgusted and tries to apologize, but Catherine runs off in tears. Rachel and the rest of the group burst into laughter, making it clear their friendship was rooted in cruelty from the very beginning. Back in the present, Anna returns to Atlanta after receiving a last-minute call to step in for her rival, Lexi Jones. She spends the morning getting fully glammed up for what she thinks is her big return, only for Lexi to strut in at the final moment. It turns out Lexi set the whole thing up just to embarrass Anna face to face, especially since she knows Anna specifically requested Richard as her cameraman out of spite. Unable to take the anchor seat, Anna settles for a petty form of revenge, hurling her mother's shell-stuffed scrambled eggs at Lexi's car before driving back to Dahlonega. Jack's plan to fake his DNA sample by swabbing his niece, Meg, completely backfires when the kid blurts everything out to her mom. Zoe confronts Jack, accusing him of sleeping with Rachel. He initially plays offended, but Zoe refuses to let it go, and Jack finally breaks. He confesses that he was having an affair with Rachel and was with her the night she died, though he insists, swearing on his life, that he didn't kill her. As Jack searches for Helen, Priya calls with a major development. Clyde Duffy's phone records show he contacted Helen immediately after detectives left his house. Still, Priya doesn't believe Clyde is the murderer, pointing out that the boot prints at the crime scene are a size 10, while Clyde wears an 11. She suspects he's just trying to protect his brand, and that theory is confirmed when Jack discovers BDSM videos involving Clyde, Rachel, and Helen on Rachel's phone. Suddenly, it makes sense why the grieving husband called Helen once the detectives were gone. Priya wants to zero in on Helen, but Jack deliberately redirects her, asking her to tail Clyde instead. He's worried about what Helen might say if they show up together. While Priya follows Clyde and catches him dumping his BDSM gear into a dumpster, confirming her suspicions, Jack heads to the school to see Helen, only to find the building locked. He sneaks inside but is stopped by a door he can't get past. Frustrated, he leaves and returns to the crime scene, where he realizes there's a cemetery close by. There, he runs into the groundskeeper, Coach Willie, who nearly shoots him before revealing there's a security camera nearby. When Jack reviews the footage, he's stunned to see Anna standing at their daughter's grave on the very night Rachel was murdered. Before he can even wrap his head around that revelation, Jack gets another call. Anna's mother, Alice, has once again been found wandering the streets naked. Jack tries to persuade Alice to seek professional help, but she refuses, making one thing painfully clear. All she wants is for Jack and Anna to reunite. This pushes Jack to reach out to Anna for an honest conversation, but she ignores his message, overwhelmed by grief after a song triggers memories of the daughter they lost. By the next morning, things spiral even further. Jack wakes up to a panicked call from Priya. Helen Wang has been found dead. With Jack tied to both crime scenes and clearly connected to both victims, it's starting to look like someone is carefully setting him up. If he doesn't uncover the real killer soon, this man is headed straight for a jail cell. And if you think, for even a moment, that you know who the killer is, I want you to take a deep breath. And listen to me. You don't. The killer is playing right in our faces. Anna delivers a chilling news report on Helen's death, floating the theory that a serial killer may be operating in Dalaniga. Still, police are understandably suspicious of how she managed to arrive at the crime scene before anyone else. Anna explains that Helen left a message at her hotel asking to meet, but by the time she reached St. Hilary's, Helen was already dead. Jack doesn't believe her for a moment, especially since he knows Anna lied about where she was the night Rachel died. Helen's death is especially brutal. She's discovered with the word liar carved across her forehead and her eyes sewn shut. Like Rachel, a red friendship bracelet is stuffed into her mouth. Jack's behavior grows increasingly questionable as he repeatedly tries to shift all the blame onto Clyde. He keeps fixating on the bracelet even after Priya notes that it looks brand new, almost like it was deliberately placed to connect the two murders. Priya uncovers something alarming. Jack had previously called off the search for Rachel's phone. Anna is steadily climbing in the polls, but her boss wants more drama, more blood on screen. She approaches the mayor, offering him the chance to control the narrative before social media turns the town into a viral serial killer frenzy. The mayor agrees, but instead of calming public fears, Anna intentionally stokes them, subtly framing Jack's sister, Zoe, as a potential suspect. Her cameraman, Richard, captures every explosive moment, much to her boss's satisfaction. The buzz draws Anna's rival, Lexi Jones, out of Atlanta and straight into the field. Lexi immediately shakes things up by interviewing Clyde live on air, where he announces a $50,000 reward for information. Lexi knows Anna is gunning for her anchor seat and her husband, and she's ready to defend both at any cost. Riding high on her breakout coverage, Anna is unaware that Lexi has already scored a competing exclusive. She finally responds to Jack's message and agrees to talk. Jack admits he knows Anna saw him with Rachel on the night of their daughter Charlotte's anniversary. After both insist they aren't killers, the conversation turns deeply emotional. Anna confesses the guilt she's been carrying for years. She had been overworking, and on the day Charlotte died, the baby was fussy and unsettled. Anna didn't even want to leave the house, but Jack brushed it off, telling her she was just exhausted. They left Charlotte with Alice and came back to find their child dead. Anna explains that she disappeared because she needed the freedom to grieve without Jack constantly trying to fix her pain. Jack apologizes, and the moment turns intimate. But the mood quickly shifts into something disturbing when Anna's expression changes mid-sex, as if the entire emotional exchange had been nothing more than a performance. A flashback takes us back to high school, where Rachel appears to have made up with Catherine. Rachel insists she never actually put urine in the drink, yet it's obvious her psychological manipulation never stopped. She has Catherine pose for photos and snaps a picture of Anna wearing a bra Rachel bought her. The moment hints at a complicated, possibly obsessive, bisexual fixation Rachel had on Anna. With Jack's obsession with Clyde hitting a dead end, Priya storms into the meeting armed with her own theory. She's uncovered St. Hilary's old yearbook, featuring the girls' clique, all of them wearing those infamous red bracelets. Priya is certain the killer is one of those girls. Her suspicion leans heavily toward Anna, who disappeared for a year and conveniently resurfaced just as a serial murder case began catapulting her career. But it's clear the night Jack spent with Anna has completely clouded his judgment. He fiercely shuts Priya down, calling her theory absolute nonsense, with no better leads on the table. Still, Jack can't arrest Clyde, because Clyde knows Jack was one of the men involved with his wife and threatens to expose everything to the sheriff. Zoe arrives in a panic. She's convinced she's next and tries to recount something horrific that happened at Anna's Sweet 16 party 20 years earlier. But Jack is too keyed up to slow down and actually listen. While Priya interrogates Anna, who claims she doesn't recognize anyone else in the yearbook, Zoe tells Priya that Catherine was the one who took that infamous photo. When Priya searches for Catherine online, the only trace she finds is her sister Andrea's obituary. Everything else has been wiped clean. Just when it seems things can't get any worse for Jack, we cut to Zoe trying to unwind in a bath. Someone slips into the house unnoticed. And when Jack gets home, he sees water seeping through the ceiling. He races upstairs and finds Zoe dead in the tub. This genuinely shattered me. We finally start to see the shape of the truth when Anna and Richard discover their hotel rooms have been canceled, prompting Richard to move them into a lake house owned by Lexi's parents. On the drive, Anna is hit with a devastating flashback to her 16th birthday, when Rachel invited older men to the party, and those men sexually assaulted Catherine. Later, inside the lake house, Anna studies the family photos lining the walls and spots a young Catherine Kelly alongside her sister, Andrea. Everything snaps into focus as Anna realizes the truth. Her longtime rival, Lexi Jones, is actually Catherine Kelly. She reinvented herself completely, and she has every reason in the world to want every single member of that high school clique dead. It turns out Catherine may not have been the defenseless bullying victim we all assumed. A chilling flashback reveals a childhood grudge with deadly consequences. As Catherine and her sister Andrea prepare for a family boat outing, Andrea cruelly mocks Catherine's weight and demands her inhaler. Finally pushed past her limit, Catherine empties the medication before handing it over. Out on the water, Andrea suffers a severe asthma attack, and with a useless inhaler, she dies. The second Anna realizes that Lexi is actually Catherine, she immediately calls Jack and sends him her location. Jack is still reeling from his sister's death, but he wipes his tears and moves fast the moment he hears Anna is in danger. Unfortunately, Priya shows up at Jack's place first to question him as a possible serial killer, and the fact that he's covered in blood only makes things worse. Jack tries to explain that Lexi and Catherine are the same person, but there's no time. He knocks Priya out and takes off. At the house, Anna faces off against Richard with her gun, but she runs out of bullets. She manages to lock him away, clearing the path for a final showdown between her and Lexi. Lexi is convinced Anna set her up years ago, despite the fact that Anna was the only one who ever tried to help her. Just as Lexi grabs Anna's gun to kill her, Priya arrives and shoots Lexi through the window. The story jumps ahead 1 year. Anna is back in her anchor chair, now pregnant with Jack's child. But the real bombshell comes in a letter from her mother, Alice. Alice is revealed as the true serial killer. She'd been rewatching Anna's old tapes to feel close to her, but when she ran out, she watched the Sweet 16 video, expecting something innocent. Anna believed the assault happened to Catherine, but it actually happened to her. She had been too high to remember. When the men first attacked Catherine, Anna chased them off, but they turned on her instead. As Anna screamed for help, Catherine ran away, and the other 3 girls sat there singing Happy Birthday, which officially erased any pity I had left for Zoe. The revelation shattered Alice, but she didn't act until she learned Rachel had slept with Anna's husband. That night, after Jack left, Alice stabbed Rachel to death and ripped her own clothes to stage a dementia episode. Suddenly, all those scenes of her wandering naked make terrifying sense. Mama was busy killing people. The wild part is that Alice's footprint was at the crime scenes, but no one questioned it. No one suspects an elderly woman with dementia of going on a murder spree. Since Alice worked as a cleaner for many of these kids when they were growing up, she had copies of their keys. She walked straight into the school, murdered Helen, and then called her daughter to the scene for a juicy story to boost Anna's career. Okay, Mama. She also had a key to Zoe's house, which made killing her effortless. Alice planted the murder weapon and Rachel's nail clippings in Lexi's house, successfully framing Lexi and Richard as a killer couple. Richard is arrested despite his protests, and Alice walks away untouched. Her letter boils down to one thing: nothing compares to a mother's love. Anna chooses to keep the truth buried as she builds a happy life with Jack, Meg, and their new baby.